Greetings and assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope you all are doing great. Welcome to another video. This is your host Munib, and in this video, I'm going to cover the theory of AWS autoscaling. So, in the last video, I have covered the topic of AWS ELB, which stands for Elastic Load Balancing, and I have covered its types, its use cases, and scenarios. So, the reason behind the covering the AWS autoscaling is that I will be covering the hands-on implementation lab of both AWS ELB plus autoscaling together in upcoming video. So that's why I have decided to cover the theoretical topic of both ELB and autoscaling first, and then I will jump into the implementation part. So in upcoming video, I will make a two-part. First part will be provisioning of AWS Elastic Load Balancer. I will cover the second type, which will be Application Load Balancer. And in the part two, or in the second part, I will cover the configuration and provisioning of AWS Autoscaling. So I will be using my own custom image of the website that I will show you guys in the upcoming video. So stay tuned for that. So the concept of auto scaling, which we call as automatic scaling, means that cloud servers can automatically either increase or decrease based on how much traffic your application is getting. If many people visits your websites, it automatically adds more servers. If traffic is low, it will reduce them one by one or all it by itself without and doing anything manually. So basically, depending upon the how much the server load will get, it will be triggered automatically, and the AWS autoscaling will either add or reduce or remove the additional server. Okay, so that's the concept of autoscaling. So why we use auto scaling? Basically, it handles more users automatically. We don't need to create or manually create additional servers to distribute the incoming traffic or to split the traffic equally. So it will automatically done by AWS auto scaling, and it saves your money or cost by removing extra servers. Okay, and there is no manual effort needed, and it keeps your application online if there might be a chance if a server fails or crashes. In both situations, auto scaling ensures that your application should be working perfectly fine up and running state. So that's the concept of AWS auto scaling. Okay, so in cloud computing, we have types of scaling, two types of scaling. One is vertical scaling and other is horizontal scaling. So the AWS auto scaling works on horizontal scaling. Okay, so the concept of vertical scaling is that you either upgrade or downgrade your existing server specification or configuration, like increasing vCPUs, memory, RAM. So this is the concept of vertical scaling. If you talk about the horizontal scaling, so basically it automatically creates the replicas or copies of the existing server having the same exact configuration. So in auto scaling, it uses the horizontal scaling concept. Okay, right. So right now, how does it work? Basically, we need to create a launch template. I will cover this topic in hands-on lab, so stay tuned for that. What does a launch template or launch configuration is? It's basically a blueprint or golden AMI of your EC2 instances. So we need to create the launch template first, and then we will be setting up the auto scaling group in which we will be keeping the values like how many minimum, maximum, or desired capacity servers it should be working at the backend. And we will be applying the scaling rules like based on CPU, memory. For example, if a server hits 70% CPU utilization, another instance should be configured on the basis of launch template. Okay, and auto scaling will add or remove the servers automatically. So these are the terms which I was talking about. Like we have three terminologies like desired, minimum, or maximum. So the concept of desired is that it the normal number of servers. In this case, the three servers will be running as usual. And if we talk about the minimum, how much a minimum server would be required. So in this case, the two server is will be okay for minimum capacity. If we talk about the maximum capacity, for example, if a server if an application gets a lot of traffic, and for example if three servers cannot handle much traffic, so the auto scaling group will automatically provision another three servers because of this limit I have defined here. For example, if there are three servers which are running normally, and that three servers cannot handle the additional traffic or load, so the auto scaling group will automatically create three additional servers. So or it can create one by one, so in order to make sure that traffic should be equally distributed and your application does not get crashed or does not get downtime. Okay, so that's the concept of auto scaling group basics. So this is the important topic, like how many types of scaling does it provides, and exam point of view, it is also important. So you guys have to make sure that you should cover this topic as well. So we have five types of scaling policies in auto scaling. So the first one is target tracking. Basically, it also tracks the target like CPU utilization or memory utilization. And for example, if our CPU utilization gets hit by 70% or higher, so it will automatically create another server. Okay. So this concept of this is the concept of target tracking. The concept of the other type, which is step scaling, is add or remove based on how much load increases. For example, if a server gets 70 or 80% utilization, so another server will be created. For example, the newly created server cannot handle much more traffic, and that server gets 80% utilization. So the another third server will be provisioned. The concept of simple scaling is that, for example, uh, we have created a rule like if a CPU utilization hits by 70% or more, so it can create one or two servers depending upon how much servers you want to add according to the rule you specify. So the concept of scheduling is to add or remove based on the time period. For example, if you are working at office from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., so between this office hours, you want that instead of three servers, you want five or seven servers or six servers to be running from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. So in this case, you will be using schedule scaling. After 6 p.m., the server from 6 will be reduced to two or three, or number of servers that you have already specified in the desired capacity. And the fifth one, which is predictive scaling, basically it uses machine learning to scale or detect the machine size or server load capacity in advance. For example, if you talk about the real life example or scenario, uh, during big events like 14 August, Independence Day, 23rd March, and 11/11, 11 Daraz sale, or international sales like Bless Friday. So your online store or your multi e-commerce gaming platform and any other most widely used platform will get a lot of traffic boom. So you have to ensure that your instance or your application doesn't go in downtime, and you have to retain your customer in terms of business point of view. So auto scaling, using auto scaling, that scenario will be covered by using auto scaling, and auto scaling will automatically adds more EC2 servers to handle the server load or application load smoothly. Okay, once the traffic goes down, it will remove the extra server, saving cost without affecting performance. If, for example, any server crashes or stops working properly, auto scaling will auto scaling also provides the health check, and it will detect that, for example, if that server is not working properly or it crashes, so auto scaling group will remove that server from the auto scaling group, and it will launch a new server to replace it, and it will automatically start working it without manual effort. So this is the hierarchy of autoscaling group, autoscaling, where you can see that that's the main reason that I will be covering application load balancer along with autoscaling group. So depending upon the number of loads, the autoscaling group is provisioning n number of servers, either one, two, or four. Okay. So this is the autoscaling hierarchy diagram, and inshallah I will cover the hands-on lab of both AWS application load balancer as well as autoscaling group configuration and provisioning in next video. So stay tuned for that, and thank you so much everyone, and take good care of yourself and your loved ones.